afternoon, everyone. I hope you're very good. So today I've come back with a new video. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Veronique, and I'm going to speak to my YouTube channel Scope International. So today I'm going to make a videos regarding the dissertation that I made at the Coca-Cola meeting in 2018 to 2019. So the topic was the following was about the machine learning and artificial intelligence. So the title was an analysis about the master data used through ERP system that influence the distribution of Coca-Cola company. Why did I choose this subject? Especially because I'm very passionate about technology and ERP system. We know that without any technology, um, the connections and the transfer of data between country could not be made. So it's very important for any organization which are sourcing information or are sourcing good to be very strong with the technology. So that's why I was really interesting about, and also from the background of transport and logistics and supply chains, we're always talking about the technology. So the following dissertation was really focused on the artificial intelligence on ERP impacting the supply chains of the industry based on the resource-based view. The resource-based view is regarding the competitive advantage. It's describing if the company is immutable, valuable, rare, and so on, and variable as well. So the objective of this dissertation was mainly focused on the technology practice based on the artificial intelligence through their supply chains for the value chains. Objective 2 was about the collaborations of advanced technology and technical skills that are affecting the decisions for processing accurate forecasts, sell, and inventory through the organization's RIO. RIO is based on the resource-based review. Then we have another one based on the distributions network via the supply chain. So I was making a research regarding how artificial intelligence was basically impacting the distribution network through the supply chains of organizations. And the objective that I found out was how artificial and big data impacting the artificial intelligence and machine learning technology to be profitable in procurements and transportations by using the resource-based review through the distribution network. In this subject, I was really focused on two key, which was the management information systems and the distributions network. So it was focused on artificial intelligence, a different type of ERP technology, and also focused on the resource-based review and the distribution network. So let me start with the informations that starting from the introductions, because the dissertation very long one. So I believe that I'm just saying the introductions of what I've done, and then I'm gonna say what I providing and I created through the organizations based on every reference that I've been learned, I've been read basically. So So the purpose of this dissertation was to determine how artificial intelligence influences the ERP and eliminate any error on the master data via the distribution network of Coca-Cola company supply chains. So the methodology has really focused on the resource-based review and the FRIO, and also regarding how the inventory forecasting are estimated based on the forecasting estimations and based on the different data such as the purchase orders, establishments and shipments, and also um, providing mathematical models, estimation of mathematical models, and that's really what's happened. And then focus on the resource-based review. How Coca-Cola company actually managed its supply chain with the technology, and also we found out that the centralization and decentralization actually is can be an advantage and a disadvantage for the organizations. So let me start to make a point of it. So in this dissertation, I really discuss about the impact that the master data impact in organizations. It has been found that ERP system has really influenced in the supply chains and the network between organizations. Many references has been alleged that inaccurate master data can actually impacting influencing in a negative way the supply chains of the organizations. Fortunately, to overcome such challenge, organization using the ecosystem or ERP system in order to eliminate any error on the master data. Fortunately, they are using very high technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and virtual reality that really associate the informations different between the node of the network of the supply chains. So many references being elected that the technology advance are actually impacting the supply chains. We also talk into the chapter 2 the following information which is really focused on the competitive advantage, how artificial intelligence through the value chains of Rio can impacting by selecting the supply process of the purchase orders and the centralized by optimizing the cloud transportations. This is very a key of success to a supply chains, and organizations can have a list of number of supply and working with all of them, but through the process of the supply chains and through the activity that has been made, the organizations can be able to establish the value, to measure the strength and the weakness of the supply, and decide which supplier can provide the best activity and best project in order to optimize in transportations, and also to establish that there is a list of three mathematical algorithm methods that have been elected to these researches, which was the neural network that predict the future productions maintenance, the performance of the supply and the transportations. So then also I'm talking about the ERP system that impacting the master data and the big data that affecting the customer relationship management and the supply relationship management by sharing the accurate master data through the numerous software. So let me start by making some, based on the literature review, I'm really focused on the literature review regarding what I've been found it. So I'm not going to share everything in one video. This is really each part. So let me start with the impacting of artificial intelligence that impacting the valuation and organizations. So it's actually increase the reliability of answer the demand, the capability that impacting the higher level of responding to the demand of the customer. And also it has the capability to establish a very accurate forecasting. So in this research really focus on the naive forecast average, moving average trends and near regress and machine learning component. This is actually the traditional forecasting in order to establish that artificial intelligence has the capability to make this process with their own technology. And also there is a matter similarity that can impacting by providing the receipt of the good. Using the traditional, comparing between the traditional technique and the artificial intelligence, we can see that the cluster of activity benefit the customer because it allocates the value chains. This is what has been found through the literature review that I found by reading book. So it's a research that has been done that the artificial intelligence has a higher capability compared to the traditional forecasting. So, but fortunately, it's also really important for organizations to acknowledge the traditional forecasting by estimating the future forecasting, either if the technology has a very high accuracy. So the analysis, for example, have been made in analysis based on the analytical flavor use of machine learning to be consistent or the high quality control system AMRP, and have technology that adapts for significant overall cost saving. And that is a result of coming a decision with the stakeholder through the supply chain. So the stakeholder must also have the technology available to the organization so that both can exchange the information, the data, and have accuracy through the data. But having the accuracy to the data, it means that you have accuracy of inventory. So a mathematical model has been providing. The mathematical models is really impacting the efficiency to make an organization competitive advantage, because it makes recognize the master data of the customer, of the employees, of the vendor, of the part of the project, the location, the contract mechanic, accounting, item, contract, and policy. And this is can be measured with the accuracy of the forecasting, sale, and inventory that the return may have through the supply chains right due to the issue, such as it can be the seller, the selling error, restocking error, replacement error, database error, and so, as the reference has been said through the reference that have been read. Fortunately, this is impacting on uncertainty in term or into the field that using automatic tools or a mathematical agglomerate that predict assumption and past situation into the image and real world situation. So this technology has also the capability to demonstrate the real time data and also the agglomerate side. And this is can be measured through the large software of vendors that bring their own solutions for the master data management, that such as SAPnet, Weaver, MDM, Oracle MDM, and IBM MDM. So these systems are really improving the film effectiveness and efficiency. So this is the technology, the mathematical agglomerate method are accurate because it can demonstrate, predict, and assumptions of the past and the future by making the image of the real virtuals of what is going to happen in the future, and the organization has the capability to overcome that before anything happens. And this is has can be impacting the information of the master data through the different ERP technology. So now let me talk about the result of the collaborations of data via organization, business to business, factory to factory. I have an example based on the research that I found, the reference that I found. It is regarding the warehousing master data, and it starts with the data source, the data warehouse, and the master data. Those data identify basically the following: the project ID, the quantity, and the date. Then there is a key for each in the data warehouse, and also the lookup table master data. Those information actually demonstrate the project ID, quantity, date, the surrogate gate supply quantity total date, and then the surrogate cell supply. In this example of the system through the warehouse, it actually identified the replicate project IT that can actually demonstrate the type of project that is stored, and by referencing that. Fortunately, have this real-time data actually influencing the warehouse accuracy and speed via the inventory forecasting and sales among these organizations, and also planning the master collaborations with the supplier, the customers, and then the customer and the supplier that return the technology investment, so they can invest to the technology so that they can have the real-time data on the warehouse, having the project informations and the reference, the locations, and also the type of project that is ours and the dates that it can be stored via the warehouse, impacting. Have an example from an organizations which is the competitor of Coca, which is Pepsi, and it's been demonstrated the research that there is found that they can demonstrate the key data, which are the surrogate K, supply ID, quantity, total date, and data warehouse factor surrogate key, supply ID, quantity, total date, and master data lookup table, look project ID surrogate key, project name, sell price, supply ID. So it depends, as I said earlier, it's establish and demonstrate the data of the source, the data of the warehouse, and the data of the master data. So a three database which is store the data of the different of the project. It's actually the same project, but they actually demonstrate that with different the key. You can identify that with the key actually. So the management and then the exchange of data via the warehouse has to be accurate. Must have the accuracy as well. So there's also the technical via the artificial intelligence master data create a rare competitive advantage. So artificial intelligence has the capability to establish a parameter that no other organizations can make. Understanding language and can replicate the informations. The strategy made organizations have a resource very rare because artificial intelligence, though it's not all organizations actually using the technology because artificial intelligence implement need engineering to know how to read the language because it's an engineering language. And in terms of differences themselves, it makes the parameter valuable through the supply chains, but it also make the strategy of the organizations to be mixed capitals and human capitals. And but unfortunately, it can happen that these error and misinformations. So fortunately to overcome that, as the technology is very advanced, organizations make sure that the staff are developing, they have high skill by using the artificial intelligence and the programming training and also a conference regarding how to develop the skills based on the ruler automations or the inference of the text that the artificial intelligence has presented based on the need of the each stakeholder which use the artificial intelligence. So they made that to have the same, so they have the network and the same accuracy through the use of the artificial intelligence. It can be for the customer, the suppliers, the transportations, for the freight providers, so for anyone in the chain of the supply chains must understand how the technology used. So to the result to solve technical problem, the expert run vector supports machine data that aim to reduce the real error in order to support the vector machine project. Data in a higher dimension space and maximize the margin between class or minimize the margin of error regression. So it's actually vector is actually mathematical algorithmic. Yes, it is kind of very complex, but through it, I'm going to put videos so you can see what is actually the mathematical models and the vectors and the formula which is used because they use a technical textuals and then also the texts are very very engineering, so it requires at least knowledge and skills to use the technology. So the organisms as well using that for the projections is actually impacting the extent via organizations and internal applications. So the architect effectiveness bring effectiveness to the automations of the business process leverage. So I've been talking about the master data artificial intelligence I use. So they need expert to judge the parameter and also be capable to replicate the informations and also made physical capital for all the stakeholders when there is error through the database, missing informations or technical challenging, they implement to the organization very strong trainings and also programming skill to develop according to what they has been planned to the businesses. Also, it made customer to be effectively be um, confidence and sure that everything will be settled. So the organization can also make themselves inimitable because the competitor will not having the same capability because the technology is a very high technology. So it's required the technology machine. So this machine artificial intelligence or robot factory to produce the same forecasting that is competitor. Some organizations have the capability to have the same forecasting regarding a certain project. But when you're using an AI technology data, organization make themselves very rare and inimitable due to high accuracy of the technology. The technology has the capability to estimate the future plans of demand, the future plan, anticipate the future. So that's why it depends the technology that organization are capable are actually using for themselves. So to overcome that, they also have the policy and procedure governing data. Each data has their own notice and policy that must be differences different team. Each team can understanding. One is a culture of an organization. Obviously, they must have the governance based on the technology that are being used according to the policy of the governance of the organizations. That's what we've been talking about into the supply chains, how they have been implemented that with their stakeholder. The policy and procedure governance data, master data must be accurate to also their stakeholders. It actually reduces any issue in terms of error, as I said previously. That's why organizations establish a program of training for skills and improvement by understanding how the parameter data and the numerical data based on artificial intelligence and machine learning are actually processes. Fortunately, the technology have the capability to differentiate themselves because social culture, tradition organization implement their own strategy. Each organization can implement their own culture by using artificial intelligence because the technology is a kind of very flexible. You can create it through your own mathematical methods according to your stakeholder procedures. I mean, I believe that the technology really expands, such as I give an example, such as with the example with the warehouse, an example of streams and based on the joint source. Like data source, if you are giving the source of the table, a project ID start with 11 and a quantity 5, dates 37 2010. Then we join the node with the data of the warehouse, the facts, surrogate key, so 1001, supply ID, 1 P101, quantity 5, as it's been said to the source, with the quantity it's 5, and the total $10,000, dates 2010. So it's actually estimate, they actually identify the supply by the surrogate gates by 1000, and then the supply is based on the P101, so you can identify that supplier through this reference. So this can be using and also using to create their own mathematical model and the vector agglomeric super machine through the machine learning as well. And that's make the organization very differentiate themselves to the market. It's also been said through the